Welcome to We Need to Talk. Today's special guest is Joan Griffith. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, as you just said, my name is Joan, and I am young over 50. That's what I will call myself. I am a mother of 2 young adults, a wife, a full-time employee of the Barbados Light and Power, someone who loves life and loves people. Basically, that's me, and you know, that's who Joan is.
Okay. So, I'm going to get you to pick a number between 1 and 10.
Okay, let's go for the lucky number 1.
What is the most interesting place you've ever visited?
Oh, okay. I've been a lot of places. I'm a beach girl. I like beaches. But I think one of the most interesting places I have been is St. Nicholas Abbey. I think the whole process of going through looking at old Barbados and looking at all those items and stuff that our grandparents and great-grandparents that they use in order to live out their days, being it every day, I thought it was really, really interesting. And learning a little bit about the history of the plantations and the plantation owners, and where my maiden name is Jackson, and looking it up and seeing that the plantation owner with the last name Jackson was in St. Michael. You know what I mean? I thought it was really interesting, and learning about sugar cane, looking at the old way of grinding that sugar cane so you could make sugar. I thought that was one of the most interesting places for me.
I just like the train.
I have never been on the train because the train wasn't
You didn't
active.
do the double.
The train wasn't active when I visited St. Nicholas Abbey. We actually did it as an event for work, where it was like a get together and try to relax kind of session, and we all got together, went on the bus, and we did it as a work event.
Did they do the rum tour part?
Oh yes, they did, and they enjoyed it. You know what I mean? I did it with them, but I didn't taste the rum or anything because I don't drink alcohol at all. As a matter of fact, I just sniff it and I get sleepy.
You didn't miss anything.
Oh,
it was
okay.
very strong
funny,
alcohol.
yeah.
No.
I thought it was funny too, watching the guys. I can't imagine him an entire day with all these tours.
I'm taking a sip every day.
Sip every single time. I think that's crazy, but
I'm not a rum
it's a
drinker,
job.
so I didn't handle it very well. Not drunk wise, literally just drinking it. Okay, so let's hear a little bit about your story.
I'm going to share a little bit about, my recent story and how I recognize how fragile life is and how things can change so suddenly in your life to really humble you. Back in November of 2023, I had an experience of food poisoning. I remember it was the 24th of November. I went out with some friends to have a bite to eat. I wouldn't say where, but
I was about to ask you where.
I wouldn't say where because I really don't want to make an issue out of it. And I remember my husband, he went off to buy some fish. He said they were going to have some steak fish with some grilled potatoes. And I remember him coming back with it, and I opened the container and I looked at the fish and I said, oh, this is a little too greasy for me. That was my biggest thing. It was a little too greasy for me. And because I have been up to that point for 4 years, it was all about me getting healthy and getting strong. And I remember thinking to myself, maybe I just taste it. So I took a small bit of it, I tasted it. It tasted okay, but for me, I didn't like the idea of having something so greasy because I had, back in 2011, had an issue with my cholesterol and my blood pressure. So I really was on a health journey and a fitness journey, and I didn't really want to compromise that at all. Anyway, I had a small piece of the fish, and I continued enjoying the night with my friends. Came home that night, went to bed. Okay, no problem. I remember getting up in the morning, going to the bathroom, and then as soon as I stepped out the bathroom, I just collapsed. I made it back to the toilet. I was throwing up. I had diarrhea. But I think the hardest part for me was the headache, the massive headache that came with it, the massive body pains that came with it. It was awful. And I remember lying on that bathroom floor, unable to get up. And my husband said to me, "Get up and go back in the bed." And I said, "No, I can't." And he's like, "Get up, let me help you." And then I remember him saying to him, "If you don't take me from here right now and take me to the hospital, I am going to die." And we managed to get me dressed, and we get me down the stairs in the vehicle, and we went off to FMH. Sadly, it was so early in the morning that FMH wasn't open yet, so we made our way to Santa Crest. By the time we got to Santa Crest and he got me out of the vehicle, I was literally crawling into Santa Crest at my young over 50 age, bawling like a baby, screaming. The pain was so excruciating in my head. It was like my head was going to explode. And I remember them bringing the wheelchair, putting me on the wheelchair and taking me in to the room. But before that, I just needed to go to the bathroom again. And they tried to get me into the bathroom with the wheelchair, but when it got to the door, they couldn't make it in, and they said, "Could you stand?" But no matter how I tried, I just could not stand up. So they said, "Well, okay, let me take you back to bed." And they then started to give me, they put in the drips and everything. To be honest, to this day, I'm not really sure what they gave me. But after about 4 hours or so, I started to feel a little better. And they then sent me home. I came home, they gave me painkillers, and just told me to drink lots and lots of water. So in their minds, it was like maybe just had some food poisoning from fish. So I was okay with that, but I found that it really took a long while for me to feel better. And I pushed myself every day to just get up. It was a struggle. I had no energy. I was always feeling tired. And I just kept pushing myself. And about a month later, as a matter of fact, Christmas Eve, I had another piece of fish for lunch, because we had decided that Christmas Day was going to be a big lunch with the ham and the turkey and the chicken and all the food. So we decided, okay, fish was it.
I always come for some.
With the macaroni pie and everything, and we had all of these plans. But I ate that piece of fish around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I decided to take a nap. But when I got up, I felt okay at first, and I had to go visit my brother, who is visually impaired, and I felt okay. We took a drive, went to visit him, came back to get ready for church. And the minute that I stepped back in the house, I collapsed. Same symptoms, same issue. The headache, the dizzy spells, no diarrhea this time, but the need to throw up. So nothing was actually coming up, but I was just getting that feeling in my stomach. So it was back to Santa Crest again. This time we spent the entire night. So we got there like just after 7, and we didn't make it back home until like 2 o'clock in the morning. And for me, I think that is when things changed, because everything started to go downhill from there. For a few days later, about 3 days later, I started to lose the vision in my right eye. And I couldn't see out of the eye very well. Everything was blurred. I couldn't see out of the eye at all for about 3 days. And I think that is when I started to get a little concerned. And then my throat started to swell up, my thyroid gland started to swell. And I started to get a little worried, And I contacted my doctor, and I went to her. She checked me and everything, sent me for some blood work. And we were waiting on the blood work. While waiting on the blood work, my husband was due to go in for heart bypass surgery. and that would have been on January 9th. So my issue took a little bit of a backseat. At least in my mind, my body wasn't doing it, but in my mind, that took a little bit of a backseat. And I remember him going to the hospital that morning. He checked in, and I could see he was a little worried. I myself wasn't worried because I have had surgery 5 times. And for me, I always thought, well, okay, I can just go in, it's done, gets done, and I come back, oh, I'm going to be good. And because every experience I've had has been okay for me, that was just I was thinking the same thing for him. Unfortunately, that surgery turned into something a little bit more excessive, and instead of just having a heart bypass surgery, he ended up having to have his aortic valve replaced with a mechanical valve. That took a toll on me when, after the surgery, which had taken for a very long time, more than 16 hours, and I got the call the next morning that it hadn't gone as easy as they thought, and he was struggling for his life, right? So myself and my son went down to the hospital early that morning, just after 4 o'clock, and I think on seeing him, I think that kind of escalated what my body was going through, and my blood pressure went really, 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 really high. I went off to the doctor. I had to leave my husband for a little bit, go to the doctor and get some checks done. But in my mind, I had to be there, so I left the doctor back to the hospital, and I did that every single day for 4 weeks. I made sure I was there every single day, every morning at 11, every evening at 6. But I would have been to one doctor before then who had suggested to me that based on the fact that I had the food poisoning and my stomach wasn't able to handle certain things, to just go on a fruit and veg diet. So during that period, that's what I did. For 5 straight weeks, only fruit, only veg, and as a matter of fact, it had to be liquid. So I blinded everything. So I began to feel a little bit better, and I started to get back the vision in the right eye, even though it would hurt me sometimes. After the 4 weeks that my husband was in the hospital, I pushed myself through that entire thing. I really put myself in the backseat to make sure that he was okay. But about a week after he came home, I think then that's where I realized that my body had taken a real, like everything had taken a toll on my body, because I started to get the dizzy spell, problems with the vision again. My thyroid kept acting up, but then added to that, I started to get problems with my veins in my arms, in my legs, unable to stand for too long, unable to walk sometimes, and I realized that it was getting worse. Some days it was hard to get up, and I think that is when I started to worry. That is when it started to play on my mind, because I thought by up to that time I really should have been getting better, but I was slowly getting worse. So I was back to the doctor, from doctor to doctor, more tests, CT scans, colonoscopy, because I started getting also blockages in my intestine. Sometimes I would eat and I would just get this pain, food wouldn't move, my hair fell, and my teeth started to shake, and I got more and more worried. And the more worried I got, and the more issues I got, the more isolated I became. Because I don't know why, but it's just like I felt like I didn't want to really burden anybody with all of my challenges. And I think, I don't know, maybe it's human nature, maybe I think people generally are interested in your well-being, but they don't really see issues unless you're already almost at death's door. In other words, they don't see your pain being an issue unless you are at death's door, you know. So I spent a lot of time at home struggling, trying to, you know, pick myself up. My husband, who had gone through such a massive surgery and having to, you know, bounce back from that, he has since recovered and is really moving on with his life. He recovered. After 12 weeks, he was up and ready to go. This is 7 going 8 months later, and I am still struggling. I had so much fears. I think for me, it's the fear of not knowing, because I then started to go to different doctors. And I remember going to one doctor and she said to me, what you came here for, I don't really want to say what it is, because if I say it, then you'll know exactly which doctor it is. And she said to me, what you came here for, you don't have. But you're a mystery. And I went to a number of doctors, and that freaked me out mentally, because the not knowing and not knowing what was going to happen next. And I spent a lot of time on the internet
The worst place to
freaking
be.
myself out. The whole idea of my hair falling out. I had my lovely long locks, which I had to cut off, and I cut my hair myself. I just decided one morning, look, if I keep these locks long, they're going to just continue to pull on the roots, and then it's going to all fall out. So let me just cut it. And I just stood up in the mirror, and I just started cutting. Came up with my own style, and I just started cutting. And then when my teeth started to shake, I thought, well, oh no, this cannot be for real. Right? I went to the dentist, and she checked, and she said, yeah, your teeth are shaking. Let's see what we can do to help. Thankfully, she gave me something called cortisol gel. She says, let's see if this works. And she told me to put it on my teeth every night. And started putting it on. And slowly, and I had to put back in my retainer from when I had my braces to keep those teeth in place. But still, no answers. Still no answers. And the sad part is that I remember, and this hurt me, and I don't think people sometimes don't understand how unkind the words can be. I remember one night, this individual called me and said to me, I haven't heard you for a while. How's your hubby doing? And I said, he's doing great, he's doing so much better. And then she turned to me, she said, how are you doing? And she said to me, I said, well, I'm really struggling. But her next words were so painful, and thankfully I am strong in my faith, because I'm a woman of God, and I believe that God, He takes care of us, He loves us, And she said to me, her words to me were, God is look after His own. He does only look after His own. After I had just told her that I'm struggling, it is hard. What are you really trying to say to me? Sweetheart, what are you really trying to say to me, And that hurt, because I don't understand where she was coming from, and it brought back to mind to me at that point in time something that the old people used to say. Be careful who you share with, because 98% don't care, and the other 2% glad that you're going through it. But I can say
there are people that care.
People out there who care, and I don't categorize them in that. That's what the old people say. I have some really wonderful friends that have been very supportive. And I don't know if I should mention them here or not, but
it's up to you.
My big sister, well, besides family, because my family has been very supportive, no doubt about that. My family has been extremely supportive. And let me just start with these two people who are ride and die from day one, like from time. My brother-in-law Louis and his wife Cheryl, they're for me 24/7, and I am so grateful and so thankful for them. They would come and they would take me where I needed to go, because it was at a point where I couldn't even drive. And everything that was going on, my husband being at the hospital and everything, I needed the help. And they were there to help. They were there from day one. And my sweet, loving sister, Lucia, I love her. I mean, she's a joy. She is a joy to have around. When we get together, we just look at each other and we just laugh. We don't even have to say anything. It's just a laughter. And I have some other friends, Father Charles, and my other friends, Trevor and Dion, those people who were checking on me, and my Bassa community. My Bassa community, I cannot leave them out.
The gym, by the way.
The gym, my Bassa community. Those people were there for me from day one, riding with me, you know. Janet, my little sister, I call her my little sister. She's little, and she's my sister. And they were there for me through it all. But at the end of the day, even though those people are there, they can only do so much for you. And
it still feels isolating sometimes.
It's very isolating.
Because you think, oh, they have their own lives, they have their own problems, they have their own medical issues, mental health issues, so you don't want to put on their plate too.
Right, so I didn't want to put that load on them. So sometimes I just, I would sit sometimes and I would cry. And I think it is not because of the experience, because I've been through so many things in my life before, but it's the fear of not knowing. When you really do not know what is wrong with you, and everywhere you go, people are saying, I don't know, I'm not sure. And over time, I started to really lose a lot of weight. I had gone to the point where I've even feared eating. I did not know what to eat because...
So you were allowed, because you last mentioned that you had to blend everything, so they finally allowed you to...
I don't think they allowed me to, but I got tired of just doing that, and I went back to eating.
5 weeks to do that?
Yeah.
No.
Normal food. And then things started to get worse again. I started developing cysts in my legs. And still having trouble with the thyroid, still having trouble with the right eye. And I will mention her lady's name right now. And I remember one day she called me. And I was in here and I just didn't know what to do myself. And I was freaking out. I remember she called me, a young lady from work, her name is Tanya. Her and I have this bond. You know, we don't always talk every day, but she works with me at Light and Power. And I remember one day she called me, and I answered the phone. I said, Joan, how are you doing? She said, well, girl, I'm here struggling, and I really don't know. She said, listen to me, get up and move. She talks to me like that, you know, like really, get up and move. You can't roll over and play dead. You have to fight this. Get up, move, don't roll over and play dead. And it kind of hit me right there and then that I was going downhill fast. Mentally, because I had begun to adjust to all of the pains and the aches and everything else. I was beginning to say, well, okay, this is my life now, right? And I'm going to have to deal with it. But mentally, it's like everything was just still worrying me, still, you know, trying to figure things out. And I just decided that day, you know what, no, Joan, you have to get up. And you have to show up every day. And I started journaling. After that, I started journaling. I started writing poetry again, which I had not done for years. I started making my own earrings. I like loud earrings. And I decided I wanted to start my own little business.
You should have worn some today.
I should have worn a pair, but I don't want people to see them just yet.
Okay.
Right? And I remember just sitting up at night and doing these things and showing them to my son, Darren, and showing them to my husband. Like, yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that. And I like my earrings loud. So these earrings I'm wearing, these are just hoop. These are not loud. So at some point in time, everybody, those earrings are going to be revealed. I remember just getting busy and staying busy and just, you know, getting up and just keep on moving. One of the other struggles for me is that I then had to be isolated from work too as well. I have a team that I love dearly. We've been together for years, and I had to stay away from work because I couldn't be exposed. I couldn't even allow myself to catch a cold because everything would just go south fast. And then I found when I go to work, because I work at the power plant, then the vibrations at the end of the day, I would just get this constant dizziness, and the pains would get worse in my arms and my legs would get worse. So I had to start working from home. That being isolated from people was kind of hard.
I was just about to ask if that isolation on top of the other isolation affected you.
Yes, yes it did. It's really and truly is by the grace of God and the support that I have. All people who are believers, who strongly believe in their faith and believe in God. To be honest, those are the people who helped me. And I had to look at myself too as an individual, look at my faith. And I made up my mind that I had to show up every day, regardless of how I felt. Regardless of, there are times when I just wish I could just get up and run away. Everything was so overwhelming. I also had to make up my mind that I had to look after me, because that's where I was falling down to as well. I was trying to keep everything in order, keep the house in order, making sure everybody was fed, making sure, and through all of this I was still doing that, not even realizing what damage I was also doing to myself. So I can't even say it was hard, it still is hard. Because I still spend a lot of time behind these four walls. Planning is not a thing for me. I would plan, I say, oh girls, let's do something. Oh. And when I wake up that morning,
you weren't able to do it.
I am not able to do it. So it has been definitely a change of life. And every day I have to get up and I have to tell myself, you got this. You can do this. And I have to tell myself that every single day. And sometimes I let myself cry because there ain't nothing wrong with it. It don't hurt. Because what they would do is make the eyes red and sore and make your throat sore sometimes. Sometimes you bother. That's all it is. So there's nothing, for me, there's nothing wrong with crying. So sometimes I do that. And just believe in my mind that I'm going to get better. So that's what I do. Life is a struggle every day, I have to make my meals fresh. Still, I'm back to only fruit and veg. Okay, so let me go back a little bit, because this is something that I want people to be aware of, because a lot of people are not aware. But in May, I visited another doctor, Dr. Dawn Alling, to be exact. And after going to many doctors and going through different procedures, and after sitting around for about half an hour and telling her my story, she looked at me, she smiled, and she said, have you ever heard of ciguatera poisoning? Never heard of that.
Never heard of it.
And she said to me, and she turned her laptop and she said, okay, you read that. And I read through it. And what it is a neurotoxin from fish, from eating fish. And she said to me, this is your case. This is you right here.
I want you to hold on a second and then tell me how that felt mentally. Like, did it feel like a relief?
Oh,
having
yes.
an answer?
Yes, it did. And when I walked into her office, I had every ache and pain. My eye was hurting me, my throat was this, everything. But then when she told me that, it's like the pain went instantly, like everything just went instantly. It didn't really go, but like while I was still in her office and talking to her and thing, I just felt like great. So it's like this burden, this thing has been lifted off of me. And for the next 2 days, I was hyper chipper, but the pains, and it shows how the mind works. Because really and truly everything was still there, but it's just I was having trouble because now I have a diagnosis, you know.
I know exactly what's wrong with me.
You know. And
well, I shouldn't say what's wrong with me. What's going on with me?
Yes. So unfortunately, it doesn't have a quick fix, and your body just has to go through what it has to go through, dealing with the pains. What the secretary?
Toxin. Yeah.
It comes from fish, and it's a neurotoxin, so it affects the nerves.
Does it come from all fish?
Not all fish, and bigger fish, older fish.
So it was like a once in a.
It has happened in Barbados before, from my own research. It has happened in Barbados before, but it doesn't happen too often, right? And what in talking to the surgeon, because these people, at one point in time they were getting ready with me for surgery because they thought they had seen a little blockage in my intestines and that kind of thing. So when I went back to the surgeon, he told me yes. What happens is that the fish eat this toxin, and you will find it in a lot of fish, but probably not in the level of in the fish that I might have eaten. And what is supposed to happen is that when they catch fish, because that time it was swordfish that I ate, that is too big, chances are the levels in that fish will be high and you're really supposed to throw it back in. So I'm not sure what happened, but maybe I just got that one piece of fish that was high in the toxin or whatever. And
did it affect your husband?
No, it didn't. But we didn't have the same piece of fish. We didn't eat from the same container, you know. So, but one of the things that I'm struggling with, and I'm really, really struggling with, because when I had my first blood work, my inflammation levels, the maximum was 30, and my test came back, my inflammation levels were 61.
So double.
Yes. 61.
Wow.
And I was struggling. I just didn't feel well at all. So I'm working on trying to get those inflammation levels down. You know, depending on what I eat and stuff like that. Chicken, but chicken was my first go-to protein. And I started sneaking protein chicken back into my diet.
Is there an issue with chicken and the toxin?
It's the inflammation that is the concern, and not the toxin itself. The toxin would have caused all the other symptoms. Because when your nerves are impacted, then but it is still try to get those inflammation levels down. So right now I am at a stage where no rice, no pasta, no beans, no quinoa, no sweet potato, no yams, no starches, just fruit and veg. But the challenge is, I love fruit, but the challenge with that is fruit, that's lots of sugar. So I really, really have to manage that.
How do you manage that? Because that seems like a whole task in and of itself.
It is. It really, really is. So I try my best to just, eat the right fruits, lots of apples. At one point in time, I couldn't get my food, bananas digest. It just wouldn't go. That just wouldn't go down. And lots of apples, and I try and get the local fruits too as well. Coconut jelly, drink coconut water, and I just try my best. I don't know how to do. I just try and make it through every day, and do my soups, pumpkin, lots of ginger, lots of cayenne pepper, lots of turmeric, whatever vegetables I blend up. I put all those things because they help with the inflammation. So really and truly, I'm at this point where I'm really trying to get my inflammation levels down. My last test, I'm not sure if it was a different type of test, but the maximum was 20 and mine was still up at 19. So I know that I'm still struggling with that. Every day is not the same. Some days are good and some days are not so good, but none of them are bad. So, and I tell everybody, when people say, oh, it could be worse. No, I don't use those words. It could be better. Because that's the only way I'm going to keep my head in the right place and keep, mentally. And with the support of friends, with the support of friends, these beautiful people, sometimes even complete strangers. I remember going to the doctor one time and this lady sat next to me. She told me her story and I told her mine. And it was a beautiful moment. And I think to myself, at that time, here's this person going through what they're going through and I'm going through what I'm going through, and we get the opportunity to share and just lift each other up. And moments like that, it really, really helps. Especially when you have to come back home and sit within four walls and then try to, get through it every day. But it hasn't been easy, but
you've been managing.
I've been managing. I go to the office once a week for like half a day, and I'm just so happy to see everybody. So I think some of that time is spent a little unproductive, just around trying to see everybody, But I get lots of work done at home. That's the only thing. While I'm at home, I get a lot of work done because there are no distractions. Sometimes I even have to remind myself, you need to get up and move, because that's also one of the things that helps with inflammation, exercise. So
Have you been feeling like if you've had enough energy to exercise?
And not all the time. So, but I would get up every hour and I go by the wall and do some push-ups. Or I would just go and do some squats or something. Not a full workout, but just try and get something in. But then I started walking in the evening. Going up to the gymnasium in the evening and walking. My walking partner, Mishka, she would check in on me and I'm like, Joni, we walking this evening? And we would go to the gymnasium and walk. So really, truly, that has been my journey. I am still on the mend. And I try my best not to think about it. Get up. Just get up and do. I try to spend some time outside in the sun. When I really don't feel well, I don't know what it is. The sun helps me. I just go outside and stand in the sun and just take it in.
The vitamin D.
Yes. And that works for me. And I know there are some people out there, some friends out there must wonder, sometimes I just they don't understand what it is you're going through, and sometimes you just don't want to connect. You don't want to be talking all the time about everything that is going wrong. Sometimes you just want to be on your own, just don't think about it, and I don't know people are concerned, but at the end of the day, you still have to work. You still have to get through it, because they can't live it for you. They can't experience it for you. So for my friends who see this podcast out there, don't feel hurt. When Joan don't answer the phone, I'm just going through things sometimes, and
you're taking the time you need to take to heal.
I love one. But sometimes I just need that time. And when I reset, I can come back and get a little love, and I can step back again when things get a little, and then I can reset, and I get a little love again. Right? So don't feel no way about it. And to me, that's the journey that I'm on. I'm still on the journey, and I'm saying to myself, I will have a full recovery. And even if I don't have a full recovery, I know that I'm going to continue to live my life. I'm going to continue to live good life. Try and stay healthy. Try and get as fit as I can. And that is going to be a journey in itself. But I think the most important thing is for me is my mental health. And I think that's, I can smile about it because I think I have the right people around me who give me that support. You know, not once did I think that I was not going to make it, except for that one morning when I got up and it was so bad, I was like, oh, I'm going to die. But not once did I think that I'm not going to make it. It is just as the challenges come, just face them. Just do whatever I have to do just to keep going.
I have a closing question for you, but now I'm going to give you 2 closing questions. So the first one is, what advice would you give to someone who's going through something similar to you? I'm going to add in, like, okay, if they are also going through a financial, because you've had to go to many doctors and they can't seek therapy, what would you advise them to do about handling their mental health through illness?
For me, each individual is different. And I can't say that how I handled my mental health will work the same way for anybody else, because I have beautiful friends and I have good people around me, but I've always been somewhat a little bit of a loner from a child. And I have been through a lot of things in my life, so working things out in my mind has always been that thing for me. Not everybody is the same way, right? And some people need more help than others. So you as the individual, you have to know yourself. Can I do this on my own? Can I do this with just external support where I just have my friends and my family coming in to help me? Or do I need the additional help, which is a counselor, maybe a psychologist, somebody else that can help? And you have to know yourself. You have to know how much of it you can handle, because it's not easy. Nobody feels your pain, nobody feels your hurt like you do. And they can't walk in your shoes, right? The thing is, once you get to that point where you think you need the help, ask for the help. Ask for the help. Yes, there's a cost, but believe me, I am sure there are people out there that will help you. There's no doubt about it. That will help you without even thinking about the money. Because there are people out there who believe, who speak life, who believe in human beings and in helping human beings. And I believe if that's what you need, then seek that help.
Yeah.
Seek that help. And know that it is not a one-time thing. It is a process. You're not going to get better in just a snap. It is a journey that you have to go through. And what people will say is a season. And that too shall pass. And
your next question is going to be, what motto do you live by? You're going to stick with this too shall pass? Or are you going to add one in there?
I think I'll stick with
Okay.
This too shall pass. But one of the other things that I would like to add, I just want people to understand, and I'm getting a little teary-eyed right now. When you see people going through things, don't be unkind. You do not know, and even if you don't know that a person is going through something, if you talk to my children, and I have 2 that I've given birth to, and 1 that I say was adopted, and then I have all these other children, and it was always rule number 1, and they will tell you, rule number 1, never be unkind, because you do not know what a person is going through. You do not know what their day has been like. You do not know what their life has been like. Try your best to always say something kind, because those words can make or break an individual. And I am thankful that I was strong enough to not let some things that were said to me break me. but everybody doesn't have that strength. So please, be kind. Be kind. That's my last one.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to our special guest, Joan Griffith.